Hey everyone, this is Mason, and you're listening to HerbRally. Today's episode is another edition of the Herbalist Hour, and this time I'm joined by Karen Lynn Burr. So Karen is a Vitalist health coach, a holistic esthetician, and a homesteader. She's based in Indiana, but we were actually able to record this episode live in person at our house in Appleton, Wisconsin. So always lovely to do these interviews in person as opposed to the Zoom. So we chat about how she got into herbalism, what a wild foraging esthetician is, fermented foods, skin health, homesteading, and a whole lot more. I've had quite a bit of back and forth with Karen over the past year or so via LinkedIn, but it was really nice to get to know her in person, sit down with her and have a chat, and have a wide-ranging conversation. So know you're going to love this episode. Before we get into it, though, I'd like to thank our presenting sponsor, and that is Oshala Farm. Oshala Farm is a certified organic herb farm based in Southern Oregon, where they grow and sell over 80 medicinal plants. So if you're looking to purchase U.S.-grown, organically grown medicinal herbs, look no further than Oshala Farm at oshalafarm.com. They also have other products such as herbal tea blends, elixirs, fire cider, organic hydrosols that they create right there. So one more time, huge thanks to the folks over at Oshala Farm, and you can learn more about them and purchase their herbs, their high-quality, vibrant, organic herbs at oshalafarm.com, and links will be in the show notes as always. Also, thanks to our HerbRally Schoolhouse members for your support. If you'd like to join us live, at least for the Zoom version of these interviews, consider becoming an HerbRally Schoolhouse member. That's one of the perks, along with there's lots of classes inside of the member area, a private Facebook group, herbal community discounts, and more. So you can learn more about the HerbRally Schoolhouse at herbrally.com/schoolhouse. And don't forget to use coupon code podcast at checkout to get your first 30 days for free. All right, that's going to do it for me today. Enjoy this episode with Karen Lynn Burr.
Welcome to the Herbalist Hour. This is where community gather, merging the power of people and the flowers, the sweet and the bitter to the salty, the sour. Umami, it's time for the Herbalist Hour.
Welcome back to the Herbalist Hour. Today I'm really excited to have on Karen Lynn Burr. Welcome to the show, Karen.
Hi.
So, homesteading. Mm-hmm. Did you grow up in like a homesteading environment?
Nope.
No.
I didn't know. I spent the first 12 years of my life in southern Indiana on a farm. Mm-hmm. You know, lots of gardening, our own food, small rural community. And I love that. And then I moved to what's considered a suburb of Indianapolis. Completely got away from that. Gotcha. But so the homesteading community came back into my life after I graduated from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition.
Oh, wow.
And
that's
so
KP Colsa?
I'm sorry?
Is that KP Colsa's school, or is that a different one? Okay, gotcha.
No, it's in New York. And so I started as a licensed esthetician. And I never really vibed well with that, because the only continuing education you get is from a skincare line. Right. You know, and it's take advantage of people's insecurities and sell them a bunch of product, and aging is not okay. Right. You know, and I'm like, I just don't really agree with this. You know, so many things, everything comes from the inside, not what you put on you. Yeah. And so I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition to become a holistic health practitioner. And my goal and focus with that was GI health and working with local farmers. Gotcha. So that's been almost like 14 years ago now. So it's like I was taking people into grocery stores and teaching them the politics of the aisles.
I love that. So that was people would pay for your services, and they would take them to grocery stores and help them shop, essentially.
Yeah, because
I've always loved that idea.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
You know, if someone is battling any type of disease or sickness or chronic health condition, what good is it going to do just to say you need to make these changes without actually teaching them how? Right. You know, so we would learn the politics behind those aisles, the things that were designed to keep them sick, and then we would go shop at local farmers markets. Because in Indianapolis, we have year-round markets. And so then we got into, this is a factory farm. This is what this is. This is terrible for you. Yeah. This is terrible for the environment. This is terrible for the animals. Yeah. You know, and then these are regenerative farmers. You know, before regenerative farming was even like what it is now. You know, so it was just awesome. And so you make it personal for people when you are walking them through these things. So I've been working with local farmers for a long time now.
Can you describe to the audience what your current homestead is like, or what it looks like?
Yeah. But
It doesn't have a name, too.
No, we live in a normal little suburb of Indianapolis in a neighborhood. And when people tell me that they do not have room to garden or to grow, I'm like, you just don't want to.
Right.
You know, so we have literally taken every square inch of what we have, and it has turned into foodscaping.
Love it.
So whole front yard looks like beautiful flower gardens, but it's all medicinals and foods, and then we have chickens. So we do modern homesteading. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, we live on a 0.1 acre yard, and Amanda actually has spearheaded homesteading situation for us too. Do you have any advice for people who live on small plots of lands?
Yes, container gardening, vertical gardening. Yeah. There's so much you can do. You know, backyard chickens. Yeah. You know, there's so much you can do. It's the only thing that would hold people back is themselves. For sure.
So what initially got you interested in pursuing herbalism as a career?
After working with people through like food as medicine, I don't know, I felt like something was missing. I wanted to deeper my knowledge. And then I found the Chestnut School of Herbal Medicine.
Oh, okay.
With Juliet Blankenspoor. Right. And I fell in love with that program. So that was my first herb school. And at that point, you still got to go to the school.
Oh, wow. So you went in Asheville then?
Uh-huh.
Oh, awesome.
Just by Joe Hollis. So Joe was just up the mountain. That's right. You know, so it was just amazing to be able to do, like, most of your program was online and doing her program that way, but then she had you actually come there. Yeah. So learning how to, like, forage and wildcraft in the mountains, and had this beautiful herbal, like, kitchen where we would forage and learn growing of plants. You know, it was just an amazing program that she had. And then when I had graduated from that and I'm back in India, I was kind of depressed and angry because I didn't know anybody in our community who was like that. So I'm like, great, now I'm here all alone. No. And I just learned all these beautiful things. But I was so wrong. That's when people started coming out of the woodwork and I started finding amazing people.
Yeah, what's the herb scene in Indianapolis or Indiana like?
It's really, I'm torn on it, right? Yeah. So because herbalism has become such an interest for people. Mm-hmm. And what I love about the homesteading aspect, so when I'm teaching at homesteading conferences, I'm teaching herbs that are safe for everyone to use, right? So wild edibles, wild foods, what to grow in your gardens that are safe. Mm-hmm. Okay, so throughout the state of Indiana, we have a lot of the homesteading herbalists, which we need more of. We need that. There's a lot of things that I'm seeing, though, lately where people who are not skilled or trained at all, who are also trying to be herbalists with plants that are not safe.
Right. Are you talking about like Instagrammers who are trying to make
There's people in our own communities who are trying to create herbal lines. And then when you ask them, because you see something that's kind of flagged, like this plant could have lots of contraindications. Right. And you're like, well, for one, that's not alcohol soluble, but you're selling it as a tincture. Right. You know, so there's certain things that I see like that. And then when you ask them, what's your herbal training? Like, who did you train under? You know, what school did you go to? And they're saying, oh, I just learned from a book. Right. Okay, that's dangerous. Yeah. So we need to bring some awareness to that kind of stuff. Yeah. But so we have a little bit of that, which is a little bit scary. But, man, there are some really amazing skilled herbalists with special niches. You know, we have Aaron McNicholas, who works with oncology. We have a girl
Is that guy right there?
Yeah, it's guy right here. And he has, like, blown up the scene with helping people support themselves who are going through cancer. Mm-hmm. And then we have other girls, one who specializes in life-threatening allergies and asthma, and she studied with Paul.
Okay, awesome.
You know, and so send people to her. Love Paul Bergner. And then one who works with nothing but fertility and endometriosis. Okay. So when you find these skilled herbalists who have done the work, they've gone to the schools, they've actually studied, and you see the differences that they're making in people's lives, it's outstanding.
Did you know that HerbRally started as a herbalism events website? So what we've done since, I want to say 2015, is we have listed herbalism events across the country. And we list them in chronological order, and then we separate by state as well. I got to say, I don't think I've really ever entered in herbalism event that happens in Indiana.
There isn't.
So, okay, so we need to get on that.
We don't have events.
Right.
We don't have events. We have lots of herbalists
Yeah.
that are very skilled, but we don't have events. We travel other places.
So it's a budding scene, you'd say then. Yeah. Yeah, and I do want to talk about that Indiana homesteading event that you just did, and that is something that HerbRally would list, and I need to be more on top of that. So being here in the Midwest now, it's been nice to see all of the herbalists here in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan. It's just a very nice scene here. But why don't you tell us about that homesteading conference? And you said you had hundreds of people attend your class, and yeah, what was that feeling like? And just experience that energy.
Well, the first one was last year. I got a call from the lady, her name's Rhonda Fowler, who started that for the state of Indiana. Because homesteading conferences are huge, but they were never in our state. Yeah. Right? So she called and said, I was referred to you. Would you like to teach some wild edibles at our homesteading conference? I'm like, yeah, yes. And I think that there were around 800 our first year. And then this year, there were over 1,000.
Wow.
And of course,
That's
it's
crazy.
everything. You know, if it's, people think that they have to actively be homesteading, right? And you don't. You know, there's gardening classes, there's master seed starting, you know, there's herbalism courses. So I taught 4 classes that weekend within 2 days. And then there's how to process chickens. You know, there's the animal, there's the livestock side of it, and then there's more of what I call the plant side of it. That's
I saw
amazing.
Joel Salatin was there too. Did you meet him or hang out?
I never went up to meet him. I didn't want to be the whole fangirl
For
thing.
sure.
Even though I don't think he's nothing like that. He's so down to earth and awesome. But we did go to watch him speak, and I just love everything about his heart. He's amazing. But the homesteading scenes are amazing, and I'll tell you what, those people are outstanding. The homesteading community are bringing back that. There's so much narcissism in our world right now where people feel like they have to compete with each other instead of honor each other's gifts, right? And in the homesteading communities, it's like bartering.
Yeah.
Who can help who and who can serve who? And I love what Rhonda has done in our state, because she has now created where different counties are creating their own homesteading groups. And so you'll have different homesteading groups in different counties throughout the state of Indiana, and it's just outstanding.
So were there actually a couple hundred people in your class?
Oh, yeah.
What was that like teaching that many people?
I love it.
Okay, do you really?
I love it.
Have you always been like a naturally gifted public speaker?
Yes.
Or? Yeah, okay.
People are
That
like,
was
you should write a book.
shitless. I don't know if
I love it. I love it, and when you can get the crowd going. You know, at the Southern Indiana one, it was so much fun. Because I made everybody just kind of get up and yell, "We love plants."
Is there a video of that somewhere? All right.
Yeah.
Can we splice that into this interview?
Sure.
We love plants!
It was just really fun to get people, you know, excited. Because when you get into these classes, so many people just sit there like,
Yeah.
you know, they're emotionless.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, let's shake things up. Let's show your excitement. You're obviously excited to be here, or you wouldn't be sitting here.
Right.
You know, and then just the hunger to learn how to get back to more of our ancient ways.
Just a quick break from the show to thank our presenting sponsor, Oshala Farm. Oshala Farm is a beautiful and vibrant certified organic herb farm based in Southern Oregon, where they grow and sell over 80 different plant species. The founders, Elise and Jeff Higley, have been longtime friends, so I highly trust their growing methods and ethics. You'll love the potency and vibrancy of all the herbs they have to offer. To learn more and purchase their herbs and other organic goods, head to oshalafarm.com. So thanks once again to Oshala Farm for sponsoring the Herbalist Hour. Now back to the show. Enjoy. So you're a very enthusiastic teacher. I suspect that's probably why you started your YouTube channel, which I would love for you to plug and talk a little bit about what you're doing there on your YouTube channel.
I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
We were at our first homesteading conference. My husband helps me with everything. And people were asking, do you have a YouTube channel? And I was like, no, I don't have a YouTube channel. It felt self-serving. right? And so I was like, no.
Yeah,
And
you're
then-
saying like self-serving in the sense like egotistical
Yes.
or something like that. Oh, look at me type of thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm not.
That was
I'm
one
like
of the major
you. I'm a
hurdles I
very-
had.
Yes.
Totally.
Oh, I'm a very community supported people, and you can figure out real quick who is and who isn't.
Right.
You know, and so finally I was like, Brian, we just need to do this. Like, let's just do this. We can interview other people, you know, other farmers, other herbalists, you know, people who are out there who have a heart to serve is who I want to talk to. Not people who just want to promote themselves for their own greedy ways. I want a heart to serve. And it has been so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Yeah, you have a lot of different types of videos. Like you said, you have interviews, you have a how-to, you have culinary, you have some skincare stuff on there as well. So that's the Homesteading Herbalist
Homesteading
Collective.
Herbalist
And is Brian on there sometimes too?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
He does all the fermentation in the house.
Okay. I was actually going to ask you about fermentation. It seems like you have the fermented hot sauce, which I've done before. I love that. I want you to speak a little bit about your fermented applesauce for GI health. I've somehow never thought of that. First of all, did you make that recipe up?
Brian did.
That's
Well,
genius.
he made
I
up
love
the
that idea.
fermented applesauce, and then I started using it in the apothecary.
You
for
threw
my
some herbs in
clients.
there too. Some, I want to say calendula was in there.
Calendula,
maybe cinnamon.
plantain, and
Okay.
marshmallow.
Oh, marshmallow, that's right. Would you be willing to maybe give a brief overview, or Brian, or how to make it? And we could link to the video as well. But yeah, I just found that just a genius idea.
Well, that goes back to my food is medicine, right?
Yeah.
So, as an herbalist, when people walk into my apothecary, they come in with a list of meds, and they say, I want to get off of these. Do you have herbs for this? And every time I'm like, no, herbs don't work that way. These are not pharmaceuticals. Right? And so I have found as a practitioner that it is so much more, it is so helpful to not only you as the practitioner, but to the patient to inspire them to help themselves. So anybody that I work with, I want them to know, I am not here to fix you. These herbs are not here to fix you. I am here to help guide you to use the plants and your food as medicine and the whole, you know, relationships, you know, all of it, mind, body, spirit. But when you're able to teach someone how to ferment apples, you know, and then how to use these very, very soothing and healing herbs, I've taught them how, but they do it. You know, it's like teaching gardening for your health. That's one of my favorite classes to teach because you make it personal. You know, you're teaching, do you battle anxiety? Okay, well, let's teach you how to grow these plants. How do you use these plants? There's a psychology there, right? Because now they're doing it.
It's kind of like, I mean, you all have a kid. I remember when Amelia was younger, I got her in the kitchen as much as possible because I've heard that if you get them, you know, incorporated in the cooking process, they're more likely to eat what they created.
Yep.
Is it kind of like that?
Yeah, that's what our son does. But yes,
Totally.
absolutely. You're taking away, you know, we're taught that you turn on a TV and a pharmaceutical is supposed to save you from something. We all know that that's not okay. But then I feel like the herbal world has become so allopathic. And it's sad to me, you know, it's sad to me. But so to see people who will send me an email or call me and say, this has been so helpful when I start to feel anxious or I don't feel well, I love being able to go out and make my own tea from the plants that I grew.
Yeah.
You know, it's a psychology. They're not so focused on themselves and what's in their head anymore. They've changed their focus to now I'm going to grow this, I'm going to take care of this, and this is here to serve me. But yet I served it, so now this plant can serve me. So it's like if we could just get more of that, then that way people have a deeper understanding as that they are the ones that heal themselves.
I love that. That's such a great message. Do you have any other favorite ferments that you'd like to share with the audience, like something super simple to get started?
Recently, we did, because Brian loves to make kombucha too, and I was like, let's do cottonwood.
Oh, wow.
So
I love the smell. I've never considered tasting it.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But that's what I used in the fermented applesauce. I used cottonwood kombucha, mother.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's how you got
ferment
the fermentation process started was with the SCOBY. Okay.
Yeah, so, but making, just, when you get into plants, I feel like we all learn the basics, right?
Yeah.
The tulsi, the calendula, the candula, all these amazing, beautiful plants. But when you start really learning the chemistry of, well, what's that tree bark? Or, instead of learning, for instance, I'm always pushing the limits with my teachers. It's like, oh, well, this leaf. And so they'll teach you one thing about the plant. And I'm like, well, what about the stem?
You're one of
or
those
what about
students.
the root? Or what about this? And I'm like, I want to know all of the plant.
Totally.
And so it's fun because then sometimes people will say, oh, well, yeah. And I'm like, why didn't you teach us that from the begin with? Let's like learn all about the plant instead of one part of it. So I love being able to do that. So when you're working with these ferments and you're trying to get more of these probiotic cultures into your diet, like think outside the box. Start fermenting different foods. To make kombucha, you have to have tannins.
Yeah.
What has amazing tannins? Tree barks. So of course you don't want to ferment cherry, but there's so many things you could do out there.
Do you remember when I fermented? I want to say it was the stems or the middle part of like the kale. So you could eat the kale, right?
Yeah.
But then the hardy part, the stems, I actually fermented those, and I was like, yeah, it all goes in line with this concept called frugal nutrition, where I'm like, just use the whole animal or plant, however you can. It
That's
sounds
a really
similar.
cool program.
Thanks. Yeah. HerbRally.com/frugal nutrition.
Yes, it's awesome.
It's a free course. Yeah, exactly. Well, I know. So you're the wild foraging esthetician.
Yes.
Can you tell us what that means?
Yes, 100%. So 6 years ago, I have a business partner. Her name's Sarah, and she's an esthetician.
Okay.
And she was stepping more into that holistic lifestyle. Yeah. And so I was like, would you ever want to do this? Let's do this together. Let's create a spa on our own that's holistic.
And is this Materia Medica?
Materia
Awesome.
Medica. And so the more I grew with herbal knowledge, the more I got into that. And just diving deeper into plant chemistries, I'm like, okay, so the traditional skincare world is all about aging is not okay.
Which I have to interject. I won't throw anyone under the bus, but I was having a conversation with a pretty young person the other day, early 20s, and they were very curious about why I enjoy getting older. Like they were terrified, like they were past, 18, 19, 20 now, and like they were genuinely concerned that they were just like going downhill. And I'm like, no. The older I get, the better I feel, the more I love life. So what you're talking to right now really speaks to my heart. So, but please continue.
Well, it's that superficial world, you know, to where in the spa industry, in the skincare industry, everything is so skin deep. Yeah. Everything is about, the latest topical, the latest procedure. It's just so sad to me. Yeah, right. When I said that, you were like, "Aw." Yeah. Like you felt pain for that person. I did. Yeah. Because it's sad. Yeah. And so as a wild foraging esthetician in my treatment room, and I make all the skincare there that's wild crafted, it's always what I've grown in my gardens or what I've literally foraged. This year, one of my favorites was a wild grape lotion. And I fermented wild grapes with that tartaric and malic acid, and I fermented it in honey, and it made the most amazing treatment for acne and inflammation on the skin. Wow. You saw the results. Wow. Yes, and so like in my gardens, I have plants that are for fungal infections, yeast, bacterial. So I literally wildcraft every skincare, my lotions, my creams, everything that I do is from wildcrafted plants. What's the skincare industry like when it comes to making medicinal claims? Because I can see how certain drugs, if they help with the skincare condition, they're allowed to make those claims because they're say scientifically backed or whatever. Obviously, we know what you're doing is much better for the client, but are you allowed to say this fermented grape solution actually helps with acne? I don't do that. You don't? I say inflammation. I love it. Okay. And I always say, who always talks? And they're seeing results, yes. So yeah. So Seja Popham was one of my teachers, and I love that man. Yeah. And he just drilled it in our heads that herbs nourish and support. So everything in my apothecary is nourish and support.
So you're essentially training your clients to kind of understand that.
100%.
Yeah.
They have to,
Yeah.
because that's what they do. They're nourishing and supporting. And you know, when we age, the reason why it shows that we're aging is because our tissues are thinning. You know, your tissues are thinning from the inside out. And so when you're able to help to support, you know, the thickening of those tissues, we have a kitty. When you're able to support, you know, those tissues from a hormonal aspect, there's no such thing as hormonal balance, right? They're always going to be a state of imbalance. But when you're able to help somebody support themselves with natural aging processes, then you age gracefully. So when I get someone in for like perimenopause or menopausal aging, then I'm like, well, you're supposed to be doing this right now because you're in reverse puberty. So let's work with your body's natural processes, and then you can start to feel a little bit more youthful and look a little bit more youthful. But that's nourishing from the inside out and working with what the body needs, where the body's at that time. But no, we're not taught that in the conventional ways.
Right. So you mentioned a fermented grape product that you made for external use. I'm just kind of curious, is there a link between consuming fermented products and skin health overall?
Yeah, you know, your skin is its own ecosystem. You know, the skin has its own microbiome. The skin eats just like we do. But it's internally, it's the last to receive nutrition. So when you can treat your skin like I always ask my clients, I'm like, are you a gardener? And I love it when they garden, right? So when I'm working with them, whether it's internal, topical, I'm always telling them, you know, you can look at your skin or look at the inside of you, just like you would your garden soil.
I love that.
You know, do you want to, what's going to be better? You know, infusing yourself and your skin with things that are going to, with nutrients that are going to support growth of beneficial bacteria. You know, and help to support everything you need with those vitamins and those minerals. How are you feeding your skin, you know, versus also internally? You know, how are you supporting and nourishing the insides so that you can glow on the outside?
Totally.
So when you can talk to a gardener or a farmer or somebody who understands soil biology like that, then they understand. I'm like, if you're junking it up, any skincare line is going to sell you on, you know, the first few ingredients, you know, they're greenwashing and all of these things. And I'm like, yeah, but what are they preserved with? And then you look down and there's like 5 preservatives. And I'm like, I'm trying to help people rebuild beneficial bacteria on their skin, not deplete it.
So in my teenage years, I struggled big time with acne. And that's obviously you're going through so many changes. You're afraid of everyone's judgment and everything. Definitely not an easy time. So I presume you get a lot of teenage clients. Is there like an all-encompassing thing you're able to like offer to, say, if there's a teenager watching this, like some sort of regimen they could use? Or just for instance, I remember for a little bit my parents had me on tetracycline. Which didn't do shit for me.
No, it won't.
In fact, I would argue, say I got worse. And go figure, I was on the standard American diet at the time too, eating incredibly horrible food, like, you know, Twinkies and shit like that. And I'm just wondering, do you have any advice to offer to the teenager out there that's struggling, or words of encouragement or anything like that?
Yeah, I see a lot of teenagers. We always go over diet. You have to go over the diet. And that's always real fun when you get the eye roll from the 15-year-old who lives their ice cream and all their junk.
And they probably don't even believe that it has any effect.
Like,
why would food affect you?
I have one teenage boy who's 15 who actually gets it. But
cool.
Yes, we go over like the cascade of sugar, their hormones, how you know, anything with their insulin is going to spike those androgens in their skin. So the link between insulin and androgen, and then P. acnes, the bacteria, how it all feeds into it. I always try to teach them how they can make all their own favorite, you know, bake your own pies, your cookies, all of the junk foods that you would want. Let's just swap out your ingredients, right?
Yes.
So that way they don't feel like they can't have things.
Michael Pollan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. And I remember him saying, I'll eat anything as long as I'm making it myself. Yep. It kind of reminds me of that. Yeah.
So people don't want to be told all the things they can't have, especially a teenager. So just swapping out ingredients. So then you're helping with the inflammatory process. And then I help to support insulin levels and bacteria at the same time, depending on where we are. So when I'm working with acne, I always look at it as kind of like a 3-part system, right? So I always look at as a bacterial, fungal, and viral. So just all of my formulas are already created for all 3.
Okay.
For all 3. That way we're working at it with all 3 angles. I customize all their skincare and I keep it so basic.
Yeah.
Super basic. You don't need all these products. To where we're working with inflammation, bacteria, fungal, viral, topically, and internally. So it's always like a 3-part system. But, if people can just stay off the antibiotics.
Yeah.
For the
Is that what tetracycline is?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like stay off the antibiotics. Even if they do work, they're going to work such a short term.
Yeah.
And you're messing with your immunity. You're messing with your immune system.
Right.
And so in the long run, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
And then stay off of these harsh products. These harsh products are just, they're destroying skin tissue is what they are.
Is that like the specific acne facial washes and
There's
stuff like
that?
There's so many.
Yeah. They're also, you'll get things with like salicylic acid. That's not real. It's genetically engineered now.
Right.
So it's like, it's not even real. So when you can take these plants from nature and you can extract real salicylates,
Yeah.
to be able to help these people topically, that's where it's amazing. That's where you really see changes take place with people.
Do you ever recommend people use, if their skin is already in like decent condition, like just standard like rubbing oil into their face? Like I'll use jojoba or olive oil sometimes. Is that any benefit to that?
Absolutely, as long as it's real.
Yeah, right.
Like cold pressed,
Yeah.
certified organic
extra
oils.
virgin. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we like jojoba quite a bit. I don't know if you have any thoughts on the jojoba oil.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's actually the closest oil to ours.
Oh, really?
Our natural sebum production.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's neat. What about like astringents and stuff like that? Like I like to use rose hydrosol and stuff like that.
I love rose hydrosols.
Okay.
I make my own. I make a lot of my own with tree barks.
Yeah.
So I love tree barks. I love using willow bark and willow leaves.
Okay. Those are all because of the astringency, or?
Yep.
Okay.
And one of my favorites has been persimmon leaves.
Okay. Never tried that before. Well, why don't we stick on skincare a little bit longer? Would you be willing to share kind of like what your routine is?
Yeah. So I like to keep things basic because we
Yeah.
just don't need a lot. So for me, it's more of what I eat. Like we eat everything. We just eat clean foods. We grow a lot of our food, and we shop primarily from not grocery stores, but our local farmers markets.
And you said you have year-round, too.
Year-round.
Does that mean they're like indoors in the winter? How harsh is the winter in Indiana?
It hasn't been that bad.
Yeah.
We got up here and it was freezing.
Yeah.
Maybe the coldest that it's been the last few years is in the 20s, and it doesn't stick around. It's been more of like 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we have indoor markets
Sweet.
year round, and the farmers use a lot of grow tunnels. So that way we're able to keep all those local foods coming. But we know, we're friends with our local farmers. We know where our meat comes from. We know where our vegetables come from. We know that they're not using pesticides, so.
You did a really cool tour with that guy with the giant beard on your YouTube channel, yeah. So you buy from them?
No, because he's 2 hours south of us.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
But he's a farmer that we met who is he's doing some cool things.
He seems like a rad dude.
And to see the changes that guy is going to continue to create, I just saw it the first time I met him, and I was like, you have this heart that people need to know about. But yeah, so as far as skincare goes, for me, it's your nutrition.
Yeah.
You've got to eat well. You just have to. And then topically, it's pretty basic. I make all my own facial cleansers, all of them. And then I do fun like cleansing gels that are very hydrating that I use rose quartz crystals in. So they're very hydrating, but exfoliating at the same time for people. And I only make those through the winter months because they're just too heavy for the summer months.
Is the exfoliation coming from the rose quartz
Yes.
crystal? Okay. Wow.
It's really cool.
I've
So
never
they're
heard that
all,
before.
of course,
That's neat.
herbal infused.
Sure.
With everything. I just have shelves in the apothecary of just infusions everywhere. It's like you said, a mad scientist lab, but
Sounds like a magical place.
it's really cool that I've outgrown. I've so outgrown it, but yeah. And then I make what's called herbal tea lotions.
Okay.
So I'm constantly playing with different formulas and different plants to extract those plant chemistries so that they can absorb into your skin. And my favorite like mask that I've made, and I share this recipe with everybody, is cottonwood bark with okra. Cottonwood bark, okra, lavender, and a clay. You know, whatever clay you want, rehousal, calcium clay, any of them. Yeah. But blending that together, because anybody can use it.
Yeah.
And it's so nourishing for the skin. And so I keep that one on the shelves at all times.
How are you getting the okra?
We grow it.
Really? That's awesome.
We grow everything.
Okay.
So
Very cool.
like I said, you know, it's
Do you ever
taken
make
us.
gumbo with it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't really enjoy eating okra.
Okay.
But
Very
I grow
slimy.
it. Well, people don't realize that mucilage is so healing, just like marshmallow.
Totally. Same plant family. Yeah.
So it's just outstanding. I'm like, there again, think outside the norm, right? You know, we grow a lot of marshmallow, but I don't want to kill my plants, so I use the leaves.
Yeah.
So I use the above ground parts of all of our marshmallow plants, and then I use the okra for anything that I need with that amazing mucilage. And magnolia leaves are amazing for that too.
I want to say I saw you harvesting that on Instagram recently. Yeah. I've never heard of anyone using that, and that's for the, you say for the mucilage? Oh, wow, okay.
Yep, you know, just like cinnamon, if you've ever infused cinnamon.
Oh, yeah, I remember first time putting cinnamon in my coffee, there was like this gloopy, snotty stuff at the bottom. So
Absolutely. We get so focused on just one plant where it's like, come on, there's, you know, if you learn the chemistry of these plants, then you're like, oh, well, that contains a mucilage too. I could play with that.
Totally.
So it's so much, you know, I get a lot of infants with eczema, right? And because of our environment, it's common.
Yeah.
It's just so common. So just being able, this is just topical for it, but being able to make like a blend of marshmallow root with okra and magnolia flowers and just let that sit overnight and have the mom literally just spray that on the eczema for the next few days. It's out. You wouldn't believe the changes
Herbs work.
in these skin. Like, it's outstanding. But what I mean by that is there's so much more than just marshmallow.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, I use marshmallow root quite a bit, but another one of my favorite plant allies is linden, which is also in the marshmallow plant family. But just also it's got that nice slime to it as well. But are there any plants you're currently vibing with? Any like plant allies that you're just kind of loving lately?
Linden's one of my favorites.
Oh, nice.
This time of year, coming into the winter months, of course, I always love all my evergreens. But I'll tell you a plant that I have been obsessed with.
This is what I'm looking for, yes.
Wow. And I'm going to figure out how to grow it. But it's called rabbit tobacco or life everlasting.
Yeah, I saw you post about that too.
I did.
Okay, yeah.
April teaches about it.
Okay.
But then I was in an intensive with Phyllis Light and Matthew Wood, all on respiratory health.
Okay.
Okay, and so I'm in this intensive and they're talking about rabbit tobacco. And then Tommy Bass, if you've heard of Tommy Bass, unfortunately, never got to know him before he passed away, is one of my favorite herbalists. And so I have all of his, his book and all of his stuff. And so he would always talk about rabbit tobacco. And then this year, I ended up extremely ill. And to the point where I started to develop, I had they called it severe acute asthma that came from a respiratory virus. And then I'm listening to Matthew and Phyllis, and that plant comes up again. And Matthew Wood's talking about it using for asthma. So I'm like, Brian, I got to find this plant. I've never seen it in Indiana, ever. And I'm talking to my other herbalist friends. Nobody has seen it. So I found a wild crafter in Tennessee. We ordered 2 pounds of it. And so I've been nebulizing it, drinking
What does that mean?
nebulizing it, so making a decoction and then putting it in a nebulizer and breathing it in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that plant has medical claims where it has been proven to where they were actually using it for people who did have COVID in the southern states, where they would nebulize it and they were finding that it was healing damaged lungs.
Wow.
Because it thickens tissue.
Wow.
And it's a specific remedy for all things respiratory health.
Okay.
And so I started nebulizing it and drinking it as a tea and then making herbal blends at the apothecary. And I cannot believe the results of this plant.
That's amazing.
How a little girl came in this week who had that horrible, deep asthmatic cough. And her mom wrote me a note later the next day that after nebulizing it and having some of the tea blend, she didn't cough. Her cough went away.
Are you telling me herbs work?
Heck yeah! We know they work!
Do you still get surprised when you see results like this? Like,
yes!
I get so excited hearing about it.
Every
like,
single time.
Yeah.
And when people were like, oh, that
Brian's got
herb-
something to say.
Yes.
I'm just gonna interject
Oh.
real quick. She things. I swear, it's like God uses her.
Yeah.
Like,
He uses
she-
everybody. You just have to
Amen.
pay attention.
Afflicted with some kind of like weird something. Like she battles Lyme's as well.
I have
So
Lyme
she-
disease.
Oh, wow.
So it's almost like she weaponizes herself. Like she learns to like heal herself and then she like sends it out into the community. It's the weirdest thing, but she is like
It's your
she's
gift.
done it
Yeah.
countless times. Like I could, just hundreds of people she's helped.
That's why I don't like
in various
protocols.
Ways.
Yeah.
It's insane. It really is. She's crazy.
It's true. I was so mad.
She was.
Yes.
We were at like a really good rest, like eating pizza, just having a really nice time. And she took a bite of a pepperoni while she had this respiratory virus, and the spice like lit her up, and she started coughing. And I seriously thought, because I had to like sprint to the car to get the inhaler. 'Cause I thought she was going down. I thought she was gonna die, like just on the spot. Like,
I lost all breath.
Wow.
Like,
She couldn't
severe
breathe.
asthma attack.
And she's like, she ran out of the restaurant not to make a scene or anything, and she's like trying to get air in. And I came back with that inhaler, and she hit that a couple times with albuterol, and we don't like using hardcore.
It's life-saving when you need
Yeah,
it.
right.
But there's times where it's got to happen, and thankfully everything worked out. But that stuff happens to her, and she will find plants and she will find methods and things. It's wild.
Yeah.
But that's what we're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we were sitting in the pulmonologist's office and I start to cry because I'm mad. Like I'm angry.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm figuring out a way. People are gonna learn better ways to deal with this. So that plant is phenomenal. Rabbit tobacco.
Yeah.
And anybody who battles with any type of respiratory distress needs to know that plant. And I love Phyllis Light. She's one of my favorite teachers. And I reached out to her asking, like, where can I find this plant? And she was trying to figure out where people could find it because they were having a hard time finding it that year.
It's in the Asteraceae plant family. I was wondering.
Wow.
We're 100% positive in the 2 pounds that we got from Tennessee that there are seed heads in there.
Okay.
So we're
I'm gonna try to figure out how to grow it.
Oh,
we're gonna
nice.
get it growing.
So does it like the South? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm thinking like Phyllis and
Yep.
down there.
It's common. It's so common for
wow.
them. It's like the way Phyllis explained it is that up here, the northern states and like Indiana, we have elderberry.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
great for viruses, and down there it's rabbit tobacco. So I was like, why do we have to have one or the other? Why can't we, there again, like let's mingle these two together to create some really powerful remedies to help support people.
All right, rabbit tobacco. I'm going to look into that more. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try a new question out
Okay.
for you. And feel free, this might be where you look into the camera, who knows. If you were to give a TED Talk on anything, what would it be about? And
Gardening.
why?
My TED Talk would be about gardening for your health because herbal remedies work so much better when you are inspired to use these plants for your own health. When it becomes personal to you and it's not the herbalist or the practitioner saying, oh, well, you need this. Because you're taking our word for it on our training and our expertise, which is what you're supposed to do, right? But at the same time, when it becomes personal and you have that personal connection to the plants, that's when you know that those plants have really connected to you. So gardening for your health is something that I'm super passionate about, because we have to start making these plants personal, because they've never not been here. They've never not been here. You know, we have become so disconnected to where everything has to be take this for that. And we have to stop that. You know, eat your weeds. Eat these everyday beautiful plants. Live closer to nature. Stop being so disconnected. Shop with your local farmers markets. You know, use grocery stores for what they're good for. Avocados, bananas,
Coffee.
You know, use grocery stores for what they're good for that you can't get local, or that you didn't grow your own. Because we're never going to like fight the system or really start to beat disease until we start to live these more ancient ways and until we start to live closer to nature. So that would be it.
I love it. I'm glad I asked it. That was the first time doing that, and you knocked it out of the park, so thank you. Yeah. Well, what are some random hobbies of yours outside of the realm of homesteading and herbalism?
I love reading. I love books. I love bookstores. I love YouTube, obviously. I've been watching this stuff forever. I'm like, Mason has a new show out.
That's awesome.
I know. I would love anything outdoors. We're big campers.
Yeah.
We love hiking. We love being on the water. Anything naturistic.
Is there some good hiking in your neck of the woods? Nice.
Beautiful hiking.
We got to make our way down to Indiana.
Indiana's beautiful. Southern Indiana's beautiful.
Yeah.
People are friendly. The northern part's just flat. It's kind of boring, uneventful. Southern Indiana is gorgeous. But yeah, our hobbies are gardening, anything outdoors. We love kayaking, being on the water, all of that stuff. We're not big like city people, unless it's touring fun little coffee shops.
For
we
sure.
love that kind of stuff.
Totally. You mentioned books. Are there any books you're into right now? It could be fiction, nonfiction, or it could be kind of related to homesteading and whatnot.
I love all things gardening and herbal books is pretty much what I have. I love Paul Bergner.
Yeah.
Co-authored a book that's one of my favorites that's called Folk Remedies. And it's a really fun book. It's not real popular, but it's awesome.
I don't think I know that one. I know he's got fabulous. Like tomes on garlic and ginseng and stuff like that.
I've got those.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just outstanding. Wonderful. But yeah, all of those fun things. If it's anything that has to do with nature, I do love books. I'm one of those collectors where you're like, oh, now I need this one. Now I need this one.
Whether you read it or not, you know, it's fun to have the book. Totally.
Absolutely.
I'm the same way. I love going to bookshops and stuff like that. And very cool. Well, I'd love to hear more about your store. Why don't you promote yourself a little bit? All right, let's promote your YouTube channel, Materia Medica. I know there's more to that name. Materia Medica.
Materia Medica Herbal Blending.
That's right.
So it is a spa, Materia Medica Herbal Blending Spa. So aesthetics. So I do wild crafting aesthetics, and I see more of like skin disorders that I wild craft remedies for, both internally and externally. My business partner is an eco-friendly makeup artist, and she's also an esthetician who uses a more natural skincare line called Eminence, if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah, I read that on your website, and I thought it said Eminem, like the rapper.
Oh, no, Eminence.
Like...
Yeah, and they like to do a lot of crunchy things, like support, growths of different trees, and they're very eco-friendly.
So your business partner is on the same wavelength as you in a lot of ways.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah, she doesn't geek out so much about like herbalism as I do, but she definitely has her own path with it.
So cool.
And then we do, my focus, when you walk in, everything is I have a small amount of tinctures.
Okay.
I like to work with food as medicine. Yeah. So when I see clients, I will have like salad dressings already made for them.
Awesome.
Wild spice blends. Everything, of course, different tea blends. I love to work with oxymils. Those are some of my most favorite. I don't know, they're underrated.
Totally, yeah. I saw you do a video, I want to say it was oat tops, oat straw, and gynostemma. And
Yeah.
did you make a oxymel out
I
of
did
that?
both.
Yeah, that's right.
I did
yeah.
a tincture blend, and I wanted one that could be more mineral
Okay,
supportive.
right. Yeah.
Because there again, I was like, okay, why do we only do it one way?
Right.
Like, let's work with the chemistry of the plants and get one that's more like mineral rich, and then one that's more, that's more of the alcohol base. And so, so I love to be able, and like elderberry, I'm always on a rant.
About elderberry?
Elderberry
specifically?
syrups, and I make a lot of people angry with this, but we're taught, we are all taught, and I talk to a lot of the elder herbalists this, and they're like, well, we know that makes sense, Karen, but we're all just taught that way, to work with elderberries. I love to forage all of my fresh berries, and I infuse them in vinegar, and I like to make my own vinegars. When you can make vinegars from all different plants, you just take that medicinal level so much higher. So I love to be able to take those plants and never, ever heat them. Never heat them. And that Phyllis Light is big on that too. In the South, they will take elderberries, fresh elderberries, and they will do a low simmer of them, but they never bring them to a boil.
Because you destroy some of the properties.
Yes, it's called thermal degeneration.
Okay.
So I did this on my YouTube channel where I was teaching the difference between a therapeutic elderberry syrup and a more like fun nutritional elderberry syrup. So it's not that one is wrong or right, it's just that there's a difference between the therapeutic properties with those. And so with mine, I will do an apple cider vinegar infusion, so nothing is ever heated.
Yeah.
And then I add in some really heavy hitters that I tincture.
Okay.
So I like to do a blend of wormwood with sweet gum and bone set. And then I purposely add in star anise, working with the nutrient values of the plants.
I would like to hear more about your business partner and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll ask people if they have any herbal entrepreneur business advice type of thing. And I want to say it was Raj, who we interviewed recently.
Yeah.
He suggested his advice was to get a business partner if you're early in your journey. Or do you kind of recommend the same thing?
Sarah's really good at things I'm not.
Yeah, totally.
So we will complement each other. Sarah's very clerical.
Yeah.
She's grounded.
Yeah.
I am not. I will come up with I'm very Vata. I'm Vata Pitta. She's very Kapha Vata, right? So she's very creative. She's very grounded. She's slow and cool and collected. And I am way up here vibing like this constantly.
That's like me and Amanda's relationship.
Yes. Yes. So I can be like, Sarah, blah, blah, blah. I had all these ideas, blah, blah, and she'll like, okay. Yeah. So she'll take words that I've spewed and turn it into something beautiful. She runs the website.
Yeah.
She does all of the things that need to be, she's a little bit more introverted. And so I'm super extroverted, but together I feel like we complement each other very well.
Very cool.
Very well. So yes, when you have someone who can complement you, that is outstanding.
Absolutely. All right. Well, where should folks learn more about you and your work?
Well, I have the YouTube channel, the Homesteading Herbalist Collective.
Go subscribe now.
It's fun. It's newer, but we have a lot of fun with it.
You're already up to 300 subscribers after a few months. That's awesome. I love it.
I guess. I'm new to this world.
Yeah.
It's super fun. And then Materia Medica Spa.com is our website. We'll post events on there, and our social media. I'm very active on our Instagram. So it's Materia Medica Herbal Blending. Very active on there. And that's about it.
I like that name, by the way.
Materia Medica?
I've never heard, I know what that is. I've never heard someone use it as like their business name and stuff.
Yeah. Our son was in pastry classes, and I was sitting reading a book one night, and I was thinking about what can I name this, and I was like, that's it.
Yeah, there
that's
you go.
it. And I said it to Sarah, and I was like, I found it. Materia Medica. And she's an artist.
Yeah.
Well, she's also an artist, like a legit artist. Yeah. So she created our logo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so she's that very artistic mind in that way. And my I'm very artistic in a different way.
Sure. Yeah, it's like me and Amanda. Amanda's good at like Photoshop and stuff like that. I'm good at Microsoft Paint.
Okay.
You know what that is?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No,
It's like a art program from the 1980s
Okay.
or something. Yeah. Anyways, this has been a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to meet in person.
Yes.
Did you have any closing thoughts for the audience before we get out of here?
If you love plants, find your connection with them. And in order to live a truly healthy life, stay away from negative people. We do not need people that drain us. Be careful what you fill your head with, because sometimes you can't get that out. And always, always try to live as close to nature as possible.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Karen, for joining me on the Herbalist
Thank
Hour.
you
This
for
was a lot
having
of
me
fun.
on. I was so excited.
Absolutely. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye. Oh,
Nicely
I'm
done.
so excited.
Good.
Yes, it's like my favorite show.
And that's going to do it for today's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the HerbRally podcast. If you'd like to hear more from us here at HerbRally, we now have a text message community, believe it or not. Basically, it's just updates from us. We send about 1 to 7 texts per week, notifying you about new events, videos, courses, podcasts. You get the idea. It's pretty much like our email newsletter, just in text form. So if you'd like to receive text messages from HerbRally, just text JOIN, that's JOIN, to the number 541-256-2895. Again, that's JOIN to number 541-256-2895. And to stop receiving texts, that's easy too. Just text STOP to the same number. It'll opt you out immediately. Okay, thanks again for listening. Have a great rest of your day.